Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Uh, this is the first lecture of my upcoming batch number 34, which I am going to start from coming Saturday. The session is going to be 40 hours, and it will be on Saturday and Sunday. And usually we cover 4 hours per week, uh, 2 hours Saturday and 2 hours Sunday. So this is the first introductive lecture. This will be repeated again in our upcoming when we properly start the session. But in today's session, I will cover all the topics which will be covered in this training, right? Uh, VMware. So VMware is basically a technology company, and vSphere is the product name, right? And as you can see here in this session or in this training, we are going to learn how to install the product, how to configure the product, and how to manage the product. And if you ask me why we use this product, so I can talk about hours on, I can speak about days about the benefits of this product. And you can also go for internet and you can visit the use cases of vSphere and you can see why people are using vSphere in their environment, right? We do have multiple other options available, but the main goal of this product is server virtualization. So this is a server virtualization training, right? Uh, I hope all of you are familiar with server hardware, right? So we virtualize server hardware. We run multiple virtual machine. We can also call it software based computer, right? So we are going to cover that. What is virtualization? It's a technology, and we will also be talking about virtualization technology, and we will also cover some demos. I will go through some demos here, and you will be able to see the different features of this product, right? So this session is going to be an introductive session, but again, we will also cover some of the labs, and I will also guide you if you do not want to join my session or the proper training. So I will share some study materials or I will share some resources and I will guide you and you can start your virtualization journey on your own, right? So before I move to next slide, if you have any question or if you want to share something, you can share. I can give you 1 minute because in the background, I am opening the lab. Okay, so let's move forward. Course introduction. As in vSphere administrator, we require knowledge about vSphere components and resources and how they work together in your environment. We also require skills in installing, deploying, and managing our vSphere environment. So this is the diagram of this product. As you can see, we have server hardware, right? And on top of the hardware, we have something called hypervisor, and then we can see virtual machines. So before I explain this slide, let me open the whiteboard and let me uh, give you an example of regarding virtualization technology. Normally, as you can see here, we have hardware, right? And on top of the hardware, we install operating system, right? And then we install application on top of the operating system, right? This is the common approach. But what we are going to learn in this training, in this training, we will be using the same hardware, right? But instead of operating system, we are going to install an operating system called hypervisor, right? And what is the benefit of installing hypervisor? So that we can create virtual machine on top of this hypervisor, and then we install operating system on a virtual machine instead of physical machine. So what is the benefit of this? One benefit is we can reduce the number of hardwares. We can run multiple virtual machines or multiple operating system on single hardware, and they will be sharing the resources of the single hardware, right? So let's say we have two virtual machine. One virtual machine has Linux and the other machine has Windows operating system installed. So that is the story, right? So this is the hypervisor. What is hypervisor? We will also discuss that. Basically, hypervisor is a type of operating system or application, right, which provide because of the hypervisor, we can run multiple virtual machine on top of the hardware, right? So hypervisor is a special type of operating system, or you can say application. And why I mention application or operating system, let me show you. You can simply write hypervisor, right? So a hypervisor is a software that you can use to run multiple VM on a single machine. And we have two types of hypervisor, right? Hypervisor has two types. One type is type 1, right? And the other type is type 2. Type 1 hypervisor can be installed on the uh, hardware directly. And type 2 hypervisor will need an operating system to be installed on the hardware first. So I will explain this hypervisor first, but actually we are in the VMware training. So let me show you something. If you want to learn about this training, you can simply write VMware certification and you can open this page. Once you open this page, we can see multiple tracks, right? So first search about VMware, that what is VMware. And then you can click the product set of the VMware and you will find different product. Just like you visit Microsoft and you find multiple products of Microsoft. And you guys are already using the Microsoft product, Windows, MS Office. You can, and same you can search for Cisco and you will find different products of Cisco, right? You can find it. So you can visit
وبعد
VMware
الشات
site.
تستكيدا
Let please keep your mic mute. Okay. So this is the official side of VMware. When you scroll down, you can see data center virtualization. We have different options. So today's session is regarding data center virtualization. And if you don't know about data center is server room, right? Server room is called data center. And if you don't know about server room, so don't tell me you don't know about that. But if you don't know, you can Google it and you will find what is server room and what are the components of server. So when you open this, right, we can see different tracks: vCTA, vCP, vCap, and vCDX. These are uh, 4 levels of VMware certification. So the training which we are going to start, that covers all the topic of professional. So VMware certified professional. That's our goal. In this training, we are going to cover all the topics which will prepare you to take this exam. And once you take this exam, you will get a certificate from VMware, and that will be VMware VCP DCV 2024. Let's open this. When you open this, we have different options available. So let's say you are the first, uh, mm, you don't have any VCP experience, you don't have any certificate. This is the first time you are learning VMware technology. So you can click this option. Once you click this option, and once you expand this, you can see VMware vSphere install, configure, and manage. Once you open this, right, then you can see objectives. Uh, you can read about this. These are the objectives. So in this session, we are going to go through these options. How to install the product, how to configure the product, right? And then we will discuss all these things. So that's regarding the VMware and the VCP DCV certification. Now let's discuss, before we explain hypervisor, let's discuss vSphere. That what is vSphere? vSphere is a suite, just like MS Office is a suite, right? And MS Office consists of MS Word, MS PowerPoint, MS Excel. So vSphere is a suite which consists of ES6i hypervisor, that's a VMware hypervisor, and vCenter server, that is a management uh, piece or the management software, right? That is the uh, ES6i hypervisor, right? Okay, so now let's focus on this type 1 and type 2 story. Type 1 hypervisor is this one. Let me show you. This is type 1 hypervisor. A hypervisor which can be installed on the hardware directly is called type 1 hypervisor. And what is type 2 hypervisor? So let me post here. So type 2 hypervisor does not install on the hardware directly, but it will be installed on the operating system, which will be installed on the hardware. What are the example of type 1 hypervisor? So we have VMware ESXi, we have Microsoft Hyper-V, right? And we have Citrix hypervisor. The old name of Citrix hypervisor is Zen server, right? And you can also find some other hypervisor as well. Nutanix has its own hypervisor, KVM, which also falls under type 1, but in some cases we can consider them, consider it a type 2 hypervisor, so which is why I didn't mention the KVM hypervisor. Type 2 hypervisor examples are VMware Workstation. Maybe you guys are familiar already. And we have Oracle VirtualBox. And we do have another product, VMware Fusion, which is designed for Mac operating system. If you have a hardware and you have Mac operating system installed, then VMware Workstation is not going to work. So you would need to install VMware Fusion. Okay. I have a question from Mr. Amir Bangash. His question is, can you please elaborate the vSphere little in detail? I did not get the statement that vSphere is a suite. So vSphere is a suite means it's a combination of these two products. Just like MS Office is a suite which consists of PowerPoint, MS Word, MS Excel. In this product, this
currently, Kasif, sorry. Currently, actually, in suite module, many product add on this license in suite, just like VMware, vSphere, vCenter, vRops, few license, VDI few license, and workstation few license, many things added on this suite product. Am I right?
no, actually, if we only mention vSphere, so it means that we are talking about ESXi hypervisor and vCenter server. But if we mention VCF, or if we mention, let me write here. If I say VCF,
but when I purchase vSphere suite, VMware vSphere suite license, that all product license available on this suite.
I got your point. That is the other thing. In today's session, we are not going to touch any license thing.
Okay, fine.
Yep,
fine.
yep, I got your point, what you are saying that. But let's keep it very simple for the audience. So basically, if I say vSphere, so you should get the concept that I'm talking about ESXi hypervisor and vCenter server. Yes, exactly. You are right, Mr. Amir Bangash. Okay, guys. Any question before I move to the session? I didn't start the session yet. That's just a warm up. We will be covering 1 hour. I mean, today's after 1 hour we are going to finish this, so it's going to be 1.5 hour session. In 30 minutes, I keep for for the other discussion. If you have anything in your mind or any queries, I will answer that. No questions so far? Okay. Now, I think you are familiar with ESXi. So that's good. Let me back to my slides. Topics to be covered in this training. This is a 40 hours training. Today is just an introduction. Okay. So let's discuss this. How to install and configure ESXi host, right? Let me show you the overview of the ESXi. Just give me 1 minute. Let me also power on my lab. Okay, but I do have VMware HL lab ready in the meantime, so I can play with that lab in the meantime, but on the backend, I will show you. This is the hypervisor, right? This is the interface. I have already installed hypervisor. How we can install it, we will learn in that session, right? And I do have some of the YouTube lecture available, so you can also watch them if you don't want to be a part of the training. You can visit my YouTube channel and you can watch those lecture and you can build your lab. I have already mentioned everything in the lecture. So you can see here, this is the hypervisor, as you can see. This is the interface. So how to install this product, how to configure, how to access this, how to create virtual machines, how to set up the storage piece, right? And how to do the network connectivity portion, right? So these things. So we are going to cover that in this. The first topic will be this one. The first lab we are going to cover is how to install ESXi hypervisor. Once we install it, then we will do the basic configuration. Once we are done with the basic configuration, after that, we will uh, access that and we will do the configuration. We will learn how to create VMs, how VMs communicate with each other. We will also discuss about security and users, right? How we can integrate or add Active Directory domain services. We will talk about licenses, right? As we can see, we have vSphere 8 Enterprise Plus license here, and it has these capabilities, these features available. We will talk about some of the services, how we can SSH, how we can configure the NTP, right? So that all the ESXi host times are sync, right? So we will discuss that. So that will be the first objective of this course, right? Of this training. The second objective is deploy and configure vCenter server. What is vCenter server, right? So let's say we have another host and I have another host. So let's say I have three ESXi hosts. So if you have three hosts and you want to manage them from a single dashboard, then we deploy vCenter server. Mr. Sabran, I think you are writing on my screen. Okay. So this is the vCenter interface. Let me also access it. This interface is the vCenter interface. Once you log into vCenter server, I can see this host. Let me add this host. Let me copy this and let me add this as well. So next time I log into vCenter server, I should be able to manage the other host as well, right? So this is my another host. So now you can see here I have a single dashboard and I'm able to manage uh, three ESXi host, three ESXi hypervisor from a single dashboard, as you can see here, right? So this is my vCenter server interface. I have ESXi1, ESXi2, and ESXi3. So the second objective we are going to cover is how to deploy vCenter server and how to configure vCenter server. That would be the second objective. What will be the third objective? Use the vSphere client to create the vCenter inventory and assign roles to vCenter server. The third objective would be how to log into vCenter server, how to uh, work on the inventory of the vCenter server. This is the inventory, the left side you can see here. This is the inventory. We have data stores, data center host, we have templates, we have storage, we have networking, right? And if I go to the home button of vCenter server, I can see that I have three ESXi hosts, I have three virtual machines, I can see CPU memory details. If I click the shortcuts, I can see different options of vCenter server. This is the inventory. If I go to inventory, this is the cluster. What is cluster? We will discuss that. Currently, we have two hosts in the cluster. I can move this one as well, like this. So now I have three ESXi hosts in the cluster, right? So that is the story. That would be our third objective, right? What is okay? What is fourth objective? Create and configure virtual networks. Normally, if you have physical machines, right? So what do? You go to market and you purchase Cisco switch, for example. The reason I mention Cisco because I also love Cisco. So you can purchase Huawei or Juniper or any other switches as well. So this is the switch, right? Then we plug in the cables and we connect machines and your physical machines, laptop, they can communicate with each other, or desktop, whatever you have. But what if you have virtual machines running on the hypervisor, and then all these hypervisor are connected to Cisco switch, for example, right? So how they are going to communicate? So then a vSphere standard switch and vSphere distributed switch discussions came up, right? So we are going to cover that as well. So that would be the our fourth objective. And let me show you here. Please keep your mic mute. Okay, guys. So let's see. You can see here I have this ESXi host, and if I go to virtual switches option, I can see standard switch vSwitch 0. This is the overview. I can see VM kernel port group. I can see virtual machine port group, uplinks. So what is VM kernel port group? What is uplinks? What is virtual machine port group, right? How we can create another virtual switch? What if we have multiple VLANs? So how we are going to separate different VLAN traffics, and how the different VLANs machines will be able to communicate with each other. How virtual machines communicate with each other, and how virtual machines communicate with physical machines. So that's going to be our objective number 4. And we do have other option, other switch also available, which is called distributed switch. So what is distributed switch, right? So distributed switch, I can see this is the distributed switch. This is my distributed switch. What is distributed switch? We will discuss that. How we can add another host to distributed switch, right? So that's we are going to learn, right? How to set up the different options here. So that's going to be our objective, right? We will learn all these things once we are in the proper training, right? So today's session is like uh, an overview of different options or different topics we are going to cover in this uh, training, right? Okay, so I just added another host to my distributed switch. So I have third host also added now. So now this host is also a part of the same distributed switch. And if I go to my host, I can see distributed switch now. I do have distributed switch available, right? So that's going to be module number, uh, objective number 4. What is objective number 5? Create and configure data store using storage technologies. Normally, if you have ESXi host, right? So let's say these virtual machine data are stored locally. So if the data is stored locally, right? And what if this host has some issue? So we cannot run these virtual machine here because these virtual machines data were stored locally, right? So then we talked about storage arrays. Uh, Let me draw a diagram here. Let's say here, this is the storage array, shared storage. It could be iSCSI storage, it could be NFS storage, or it could be fiber channel SAN. Let's say this is a shared storage, right? Then there will be a separate switch, as we can see here. There will be a separate storage switch, right? And The storage array will be connected to the storage switch, and all the ESXi host will have a special type of network adapter or storage adapter, or we can also call it HBA. So we will learn. The first thing we will discuss that what are the different storage options available. So first we will discuss the different options. For example, iSCSI storage, direct attached storage. We will talk about iSCSI SAN, fiber channel SAN, NAS or NFS server. We will also talk about vSphere, vSAN, vSphere virtual volumes. So first we will discuss that. Then we will learn how we can connect our ESXi host to the storage array, right? And we will also discuss multipathing. So all the topic relevant to storage will be discussed in this objective. So that's going to be another objective, right? So I hope you got my point. We have shared storage, and let me show you. You can search about shared storage or maybe storage array, right? So we will discuss the storage array, and then we will discuss how we can connect our ESXi host to the storage array. So this is the storage array, right? Computer system designed to provide storage to connected client devices over a shared network, right? So that will be objective number 6, right? Or 5, I believe. Sorry. What is this objective? Templates. How we can create virtual machine. Use the vSphere client to create VMs. How we can create VMs. This is my host, ES6i3. I can right click here, right? When you right click here, sorry, I think I have some. So new virtual machine. Once you click here, create a new VM. You can give it a name. For example, uh, KBIT underscore VM batch 34. You can click next. You can select the host. Then you can select the storage device. Then you can select the compatibility. You can select which operating system you want to install, for example, Windows 10 32-bit. And you can customize the hardware, right? You can change the different storage option. We will discuss these options in details, right? Thin provision, thick provision, all these things. We will also discuss how CPU sharing works, CPU virtualization, memory virtualization, how VM's network adapter types, right? We have different option, VMXNet 3, PCI, device pass-through, so all these things. And finally, we have created a virtual machine here. So that's going to be objective number 6, how to create VMs. What is templates? What if I give you a task to create 10 VMs and install Windows 10 and also install MS Office and Zoom application on each virtual machine. So you are going to repeat the same process 10 times, but we do have option available that is called templates. For example, I can see here I have this Windows 10 VM. Let's say we created this Windows 10 VM. This is the first VM. I log into this VM, right? I can create a file. MS Office is installed. Let's say I can shut down the VM, right? And I can convert this VM into template. Once you convert this VM into template, from the template, you can create multiple virtual machines. And in a few minutes, you will have 10 virtual machines available, and all VMs will have Windows 10 installed and MS Office installed, right? So let me show you template, convert to template. Once you convert this VM into template, then you can go to template view, and from here you can create a new VM from the template. Let's say VM01, click next. Okay, I need to select a host. Let me select ESXi3. Let me select the storage, right? Click next, and you can click next and finish. So I have another VMs created now, and I can create another VM as well, VM2. Once you power on both virtual machine, you will see both virtual machine will have same configuration, same operating system, same application, right? So that's the beauty of this product. So template is also one of the features. So I have two VMs now available, VM01 and VM02. So that's the story of the template. And we have another option called clones and snapshots. What are these options? We will discuss in detail. Content library. Let's say you have a virtual machine. As you can see here, I have this VM. We just created this, but this VM does not have any operating system. In order to install operating system, I need ISO image. So I will download Windows 10 ISO image and I will upload that image to the data store. But if I have multiple locations and multiple hosts, I cannot upload the same ISO image on multiple locations. So what I will do, I will create a shared folder, right? Which is called content library. I will upload all the ISO images. I will keep all my templates there, and I can use them from on different location. So we will discuss about the content library. Manage VM resource use, right? Like you can monitor your virtual machine. Let me power on one of the virtual machine, right? It's still, there is no network assigned to this virtual machine. Why is that? Uh, this VM is not a Windows deployment server. Munib, your question is that this template will work like Windows deployment. No, no, it's not the same story. Template mean a master copy of a virtual machine from which you can deploy multiple virtual machines. We do have a separate topic on template. We will discuss that, and we do have a proper lab, right? This is just a demo lab. So today's session is just an orientation session. Like I'm going to explain the different topics we are going to cover in 40 hours training, right? So you can say this is just an introduction session. Okay. I think I should wait for it because it's still under process. This is a home lab, so we got some issue. So let's wait for it. It's still running. You can see the process is still running, so I should wait. It doesn't take that much time, but since this is just a dummy lab, so which is why we have to wait for a while. So let me show you here. We were talking about resources. So from the summary tab, you can scroll down, you can find the resources of the virtual machine, that how much CPU and memory has assigned to this VM. And then you can also monitor it, right? You can go to performance tab, you can see the performance. For example, you want to share this graph with your management teams, you can export into PNG, JPG, SVG, CSV, for example, JPG, JPEG. You can download it, you can save it. Once you download it, I think it's here. You can open this image. This is the overview, right? So you can, if you are doing research or maybe you are presenting something, you can download these results and you can create a graph and you can present it in your uh, weekly meeting or monthly meeting or whatever you have, right? So you can monitor your environment. We do have other options, other third-party tools also available and relevant to that, right? Any question? No question so far? Okay, looks like you are good. Okay, then one of my favorite topic or feature that is called ESXi host to support vSphere vMotion. What is vMotion? vMotion means moving a powered on VM from one host to another host. And let me show you practically. I have a VM, tiny Linux VM, right? If I scroll down, currently this virtual machine is running on ESXi 2. I want to move this VM from this host to ESXi 1. And the VM will be in the running state. So that is something doable. I can simply right click. I can click migrate. I can click next. I can select ESXi1 and see the magic, right? You can see the recent task. Finally, it's moved. And you can also confirm it from here, right? If this is not, you can also confirm it on the host level. You can click the host and you can click VMs. And I can see Tiny Linux is now under ESXi1. Any question? These are the two virtual machine which we deployed from the Windows 10 template. So let me power on this one and I can power on the other one as well. So I have now 4 virtual machines running. And these 2 virtual machines will be identical because we have deployed them from the same template, right? Okay. Storage vMotion. Storage vMotion means that if you have, okay, let me add another storage device. I do have available here. So I can add another storage device, right? How we can add another storage device, this is our topic. We will discuss that. Uh, iSCSI 02 and let me click next. Okay. So I now have another data store iSCSI 2. That is my new storage device and it's free. I have free space available. I want to move some VM's data to that new storage device. So I can right click on the running virtual machine, which will be powered on. I can click migrate. I can click change storage only. And when I scroll down, I can select iSCSI 2 and I can click next and finish. Are we good? Okay, Amir. Uh, this is just a demo, so which is why I'm moving a little bit fast so that I can cover more options to you guys. Okay, so this is how, okay, storage vMotion. So storage vMotion means moving a powered on VM from one data store to another data store is called vSphere storage vMotion, and some other vendor they call it storage migration. Let me pause for a while and let me give you 1 minute. If you have a question, so you can ask me.
Yes, sir. I have question, please. I don't know
Yep,
if
yep.
should I write or just talk.
You
Okay.
speak up.
Yeah. Can we or can I log into host? I mean ESXi CLI, or we only have to work only via GUI? This number. This is my first question. The second question: how can we check the logs and
Mm.
perform health check on the host?
Okay. So to answer your first question, let me give you a demo. As you can see, we have ESXi1. First, I need to enable SSH. I can scroll down under services. I can enable SSH. I think it's already started. The SSH is already running, so I should be good. What I can do, I can copy the host name or the IP address of this host. I think I can copy it from here, right? And I can open, we can call it putty or putty, what you call it. You can paste it here. You can SSH to your host. You can write the username, and finally you are in the ESXi host. So you can interact with your host using SSH also, and we do have a topic which covers the different options like Power CLI, ESX CLI. So that's our topic in module number 3 and our module number 2. By the way, this training is totally this training is 10 modules, right? So I will also share the course outline and we will discuss that. But to answer your first question, yes, that is something doable. We have some task for which we will use scripts or some commands, right? So we do have that available. To answer your second questions, yes, we have a very good options available, more options available regarding the logs view, or we can check events, right? Even if I click the ESX, select the ESXi, and if I go to monitor, and if I go to events, I can see different options here. See, these are the different logs. I can export them. I can view them. I can also disable or filters some of the options, right? So that's the story. And we do have some tools available. One of the tool is VMware ARIA operations. The previous name was vRealize, but now they call it ARIA operation. So if you look for VMware ARIA, right, you can uh, you can find how we can pull the logs and how we can pull reports. So we do have different tools available, right? We have RV tools available. We have LibOptics available. So we do have different tools available. So yes, this is something we will discuss in module number 8, right? Or maybe yes, module number 8 covers those topics. Yep. Any other question, guys? Amir, I'm going to start the proper training from next Saturday and Sunday, so you can enroll and you can continue with. We will discuss that after the session. Okay. Any question? Any other question? Looks like we are good. So let's move to our next portion. Create and configure vSphere cluster. What is cluster? Cluster means that, for example, you have an ES6i host with 12 GB of RAM. So I have a host with 12 GB RAM. It means that I cannot create or assign more than 12 GB virtual RAM to a VM. That is not possible because the maximum resources I have is 12 GB. So I can assign 12 GB VM virtual RAM or less than 12 GB. What if I have a virtual machine and I need to run an application and that application requires 16 GB of RAM? Is it possible to run here or here or here? Nope, it's not possible. But what we can do, we can create a cluster of these 4 or 3 ESXi hosts. So once you create a cluster, it means that we can uh, combine the resources of these ESXi hosts. So the total cluster capacity will be 12 GB multiplied by 3. So the total RAM will be 36 GB RAM, and I should be able to run a 16 GB configured VM on top of the cluster. So that's one of the benefit of the cluster. What is the other benefit of the cluster? We can enable vSphere high availability and vSphere DRS. What are those features? If I click the cluster and if I go to configure option, I have vSphere HA option available, which is by default turn off. I can enable vSphere HA like this. I just enable vSphere HA. It's going to take some time, right? These process. Once you enable vSphere HA, so what is the benefit of enabling HA? If one of the host goes down here, let's say this host has some issue. So HA will restart these virtual machine on the remaining available host. That is the high availability option. So we can enable vSphere high availability. We can enable vSphere DRS feature, right? So that's the story. Any question? I hope you got the point. What is HA, what is vSphere DRS feature, right? We have another option. FT is another point, Mr. Sajad. FT is another story. High availability and FT are two different features here. So we will discuss these two topics in module number 9, right? Okay. FT is fault tolerance. Okay, let me explain FT as well. Let's say you have a virtual machine running here on this host. Once you enable FT for this virtual machine, a copy of this virtual machine will be created here. So that will be called a secondary VM. So another copy of VM will be created here. Whatever you do here, that will be replicated here on real time. If something happens here, this secondary VM will become active or primary VM. So there will be a zero downtime, right? In high availability, the virtual machine will be restarted. It will be available still, in both cases. If one host goes down, the resources will be available on the other host, but in high availability, the virtual machines will be restarted, but in FT, there is no restart option. A secondary VM will become active, right? Yep. vMotion is a different thing. We perform vMotion manually. Our DRS perform vMotion. But now we are talking about FT and high availability. Any question? Let me give you a demo of HA. right? You can go to Monitor tab. You can go to Summary of vSphere HA. ES6i2 is the primary one, and I have two hosts, 2 and 1. Let me go to 3. I have virtual machines running here, VM01, right, on ES6i3. Let me restart this this host. I just restart the host, HA testing. Don't do this in production environment, but I'm just giving you a demo. So I just restart one of the hardware. It means let's consider that one of the host is down. What will happen? A virtual machine running on that host will be restart on the other remaining two hosts. So that's the benefit of the vSphere high availability. What is DRS feature? Distributed Resource Scheduler. Let's say you have 3 ESXi hosts, right? And you have 29 virtual machines. So how you are going to distribute these virtual machines on the 3 hosts? You cannot do the normal math, like you will divide 29 by 3. That is something not a good practice. What if one virtual machine has heavy workload and the other virtual machines are running some light workload, right? So this will be difficult for you to distribute the virtual machine equally on all the 3 hosts. So we can enable vSphere DRS feature, distributed resource scheduler, and DRS will distribute all the workload. What if your virtual machines are already running? So distributed resource scheduler will automatically perform vMotion to migrate virtual machine from one host to another host in order to balance the workload. Does it make sense? Any question? Perfect. Looks like we have no question. That's awesome. So we do have DRS feature. Okay, let's see what happens. ESXi3 does not have any running virtual machine. And I think which VM that was? The VM is now moved. Okay, I have a question from Mr. Sajad. Let's suppose we have different core than possible. I'm not getting your question, Mr. Sajad. But if you are talking about CPU compatibility, that is something. Okay, VM different. Different VMs than possible. How about different VM? I'm not getting your question again. Yes. If you are talking about different processor or different CPU, that is something we are going to cover in module number 8. That what is vMotion? What are the requirements for vMotion? What is enhanced compatibility vMotion? So all these topics we are going to discuss in module number 8, right? We will discuss in detail. Okay, I think it should be clear now. Okay, so we discuss high availability, and as you notice that it works. Yeah, right? The VM01 is now running here. And ES6i3 is running here, right? But no virtual machines are here because we don't have DRS feature enabled yet. So the virtual machines are not going to be migrated to this host. But what if I enable vSphere DRS? If I go to DRS feature and I enable DRS feature like this, we have different option available. Partially automated. Let me make it fully automated. What are these three options? We will discuss in detail in module number 10. And let me enable it. Once we do that, after some time, you will notice that some of the virtual machine will be moved to ESXi3 because it does not have any virtual machine running, because all the workload are now on the remaining two hosts. So that's the beauty of vSphere DRS feature. We do have another feature that is called DPM, Distributed Power Management. We will also talk about that once we are into module number 10. Sorry, module number 9. Sorry. That is the vSphere cluster, vSphere HA, vSphere distributed resource scheduler. These are the topics we are going to cover in module number 9. And this is the last module. Manage the life cycle of vSphere to keep vCenter and ESXi host up to date. Right? Like you can see here, we have ESXi host. And if I go to summary tab, I can see the ESXi build is 8.0, but currently we have 8.0 update 3 or 2 maybe. We will discuss that. So if you want to upgrade or update your hypervisor, if you want to install some patches, so or let's say you have ESXi 7 and you want to upgrade it to 8. So upgradation topics and all these will be discussed in module number 10, which is the last module. And these are modules. And we cover all these things. Today we cover module number 1, right? Then we will discuss vSphere and virtualization overview. We will talk about ESXi installation, then vCenter, then networking, then storage, then how to create VMs on different ways, templates, etc. Migration of VMs, storage migration, vSphere, cluster, HA, DRS, FT, and upgradation. And I have a question from Mr. Sajad. Yes and no, right? Your answer is yes and no. So we will discuss that in module number 8. But let me show you here that is something doable. Like if you want to migrate, okay, let's see the DRS result. It's still not working, but we can wait about that. So let's see, we have this VM. I can right click and I can click migrate, and we have this option available, change both compute resource and storage. So this option, right, can also perform, because of this option, we can also perform vMotion on a VM, which data is stored on the local data store, but there is some configuration required, and we will discuss this in module number 8. Okay, let me show you one thing before DRS move some of the virtual machine. If I log into this VM, I can see MS Office installed. And if I log into VM1, right, this is my another VM. So I have VM1 and MS Office is installed. So see VM02 and VM01. Both VMs are same. This is the result of the template, right? This one. Okay, now let's come to the point. We almost covered the whole training, right? So that was the whole training. See, we finished the whole course in just 30 minutes. We cover all the topics, right? We started from module number 1 and then we went to module number 8. So send me your name so that I can send you course completion certificate, because you completed the whole training in 30 minutes. Okay, These are the objective outlines. These are the topics. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can visit here. Let me share this here on the chat box, right? So you can read about that, right? So these are the stories. So I'm going to start my batch, right? On new batch. Starting date is going to be which date? It's going to be 2nd March, right? And the time will be 8:30 p.m. to or maybe 9 p.m. because we will discuss, we will finalize the time. I will check my calendar. Pakistan time, it means that Indian time will be 9:30 to 11:30, right? And the days will be every Saturday and Sunday. And maybe I extend the time to from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. because I have to finish this page a little bit faster than my normal training. And this is going to be 10 modules training, right? So you can reach out to me if you have any question. I'm going to pause the recording, but I'm going to stay here, right? And I think if you want to reach out, so I can share the details here, all right? And let me show you something. Where is my training detail? All right. So you can reach out to me, right? And you can follow my YouTube like session channel, and we can talk about that. So let me pause recording first.